Welcome to Post Game Live. What a Sunday in January. The Patriots are headed to the conference championship, trying to win against the Denver Broncos. That's going to be next week. But before we get there, they beat the Houston Texans today, 28-16. That vaunted defense at times didn't look so vaunted, and the Patriots defense made C.J. Stroud. Really, it was a hellish afternoon for him. We got the crew here. We got Phil Perry. We got Tommy Curran. We got three-time Super Bowl champion Ted Johnson. I'm Michael Holley. Lots to take away from this game. We'll start with Phil. What did you see?
What a program victory for Mike Vrabel in his first year to be able to go to the AFC Championship Game. It is just absolutely mind-blowing that any of us are watching this situation play out the way it's playing out right now. And to watch this game play out the way it did today, you saw a ton of mistakes. But you saw a team that was able to overcome those mistakes, that was able to force the mistakes on the other side for the Houston Texans. Drake Maye with some really hellish turnovers, but also some great plays down the field, touchdown passes to some of his best receivers. So I look at this as a definitive Mike Vrabel program victory.
Yeah, and it comes in the snow, a little bit of a throwback, but it's a whole new era. And I think, Houston came as advertised defensively. Patriots finished the day 2 for 10 on third down. Their second third down conversion came later in the game, and it was that one-handed catch by Kayshon Boutte. And that really just goes to the guys the Patriots kept around and made something of, like Boutte. And then this game, I also think, is about the guys that they brought in, whether it's K'Lavon Chaisson or Milton Williams or Carlton Davis. Really a tremendous performance. We're watching down the end, and there's Morgan Moses and Michael Wenu, play after play after play. They're running behind them for a really important drive that ended up with a punt that was critical. So those are two overview things, but like Phil said, stunning to think they're on their way to the AFC Championship.
It's crazy, Tom, Phil. It's amazing how far this team has come this season to get to this point. I mean, I was worried about this game. I really was. I mean, you saw the Texans defense. That you could tell, even though they got away there at the end there, that Texans defense is legit. That offense for the Texans turning the ball over 5 times. I mean, you can't win a football game doing that. But that was a legit good team right there, at least on the defense. And the Patriots, they just hung in there. They just really really adopted the personality of their head coach all season long. That was a tough, gritty, excellent win by the Patriots. They're 29-1 when they have leads in the fourth quarter in the playoffs in the history of this franchise. That's just amazing. What a cool atmosphere to be a part of. Seeing the snow, going to the AFC Championship Game when the previous 2 years they won a total of 8 games. It's been an incredible season, Michael, and this was just a nice kind of a cherry on top of a pile of poo. It wasn't the prettiest game, but a gritty, nice effort against one of probably the best defense in the NFL.
Ted, you talk about the atmosphere and the snow. A generation ago, this is the anniversary of Ty Law, your teammate. You were on that field for that game. Ty Law intercepting Peyton Manning 3 times to send you guys on to the AFC Championship Game in Pittsburgh. And in that era, Ted, it was different because in the divisional round, you got Peyton Manning. In the championship game, you've got young Ben Roethlisberger. In this case for the Patriots, and I want to get you guys' opinion on this, it seems like the quarterback play, as you go higher in the playoffs, the quarterback play gets worse. You had Justin Herbert, then you got C.J. Stroud, who was worse than Justin Herbert, and you hope, don't you? I know you're thinking it. Don't pretend like you're not. You got Jarrett Stidham in the conference championship game. But what did you see quarterback-wise from both of them? I want to talk about Drake Maye some more, but also C.J. Stroud. Would you have taken him from the game, Ted? I would have.
Man, I think that would have been a tough pull. Even though Davis Mills, I think he was 3-1 in the 4 games that he started when C.J. Stroud was out with a concussion. They were talking about that maybe at halftime. Maybe you go that direction. That's tough. That's kind of the guy that, your second overall pick. That would have been tough. Considering the season they had. I just couldn't imagine that. What I loved is that the same thing in this game happened that happened in the Monday night game against the Steelers, where you could just see CJ was not comfortable, you guys, early in the game. He just didn't feel comfortable. The pressure by the Steelers in that Monday night game was getting to him, and it just impacted him the whole game. Same thing here. The Patriots were able to get to CJ Stroud early in the game, and it just, once it was in his bones that he felt his body clock was sped up, he couldn't calm down and never settled in this whole game, Tom.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened on Monday night. And that's why, as the week wore on, I said he's either going to rectify the problem that he had against Pittsburgh, which we've seen Drake Maye do an excellent job of doing in the game, so often, or he's going to have another repeat performance. And without Nico Collins, then losing Dalton Schultz, not having Trent Brown, those things certainly didn't help him. But some of the decisions he made were inexcusable. And I think there's the big difference, too, that you see with the offensive coordinator ability. Someday Nick Caley might be one of the top minds in football. He might get a head coaching job. But right now, it didn't seem like he had an answer for C.J. Stroud, nor when you're making decisions like that has it been sufficiently drummed into his head that, look, we have the best defense in football. Please don't try and make something out of nothing.
Yeah, it's tough because they were so beat up personnel-wise, right? You come into the game with no Nico Collins. You come into the game without a right tackle and Trent Brown. You lose your left tackle for a period of time. This is an offense that is deficient in terms of talent. When you have a quarterback who's playing the way that C.J. Stroud played, it just makes everything look worse. And Michael, I was wondering the same thing you were at halftime. Shouldn't they just pull this guy? Big picture, if you're DeMeco Ryans, you're still hoping probably that C.J. Stroud is eventually your franchise quarterback, and are you pulling the plug on that idea entirely if you pull him out of a divisional championship game that was still in the balance at halftime? So I understand why they kept him in. I don't think he did anything to help make this game closer or to put them in a better chance to win the football game today, though, and that's what you need.
You know who did do a lot for the Patriots to put them in this position where they're in the conference championship, one win away from going to the Super Bowl against Jared Stidham, Sean Payton, and the Denver Broncos, and it was Drake Maye. Now, not the greatest game for Drake Maye, but you think about, and Phil, I want to come to you on these specific plays. The one-handed catch from Kayshon Boutte. Yes, give credit to Boutte on a great catch. The touchdown catch from Stephon Diggs where the ball is inches from the ground and Diggs is just holding on to the football. In the 4th and 1 throw, not the greatest throw, but once again, a touchdown on 4th down to Demario Pop Douglas. So you think about those 3 touchdowns from Drake Maye. C.J. Stroud, in the chaos of his mistakes, he didn't do anything to pull his team out of it. It's not like he was able to balance it. Hey, terrible play, but look at this great play I made. Drake Maye still was able to do that despite his turnovers and his fumbles and all that. Phil, what did you see from Drake Maye?
Yeah, I give him a lot of credit for the Boutte throw because that was the one that came at the end, right? You get 4 fumbles to your name by that point if you're Drake Maye, and an interception, too, on a Hail Mary attempt.
Look at this catch.
I don't look at that all that closely, but this catch is ridiculous, remarkable.
Insane.
You look at a guy like Kayshon Boutte and the road that he has gone down over the course of his pro career, and it felt like, it wasn't that long ago where we were wondering if he was going to be on the roster, never mind one of their most important players in the biggest game of the season. But that kind of throw, after having a brutal game in terms of your ball security, is one of the reasons why you have to like Drake Maye moving forward, is because he's able to bounce back from his mistakes, Tom.
Yeah, and when you look at that route, too, you're going against one of the best corners in football. And if you notice what Boutte did there, he's not extremely fast, but he understands how to use his body. Once he got a shoulder, a smidge past Stingley, he moved over to put Stingley on his back. And once you're behind a receiver, if you have a quarterback who can just have that difference in throw style, it's not going to be coming down your face mask. It's going to be out in front of you. That's where it was. I mean, that's just a combination of the right kinds of players, Ted. I mean, when you're in the red zone and you have been a bad red zone team for a large part of the season, and you have Stephon Diggs, who's not big, but has ridiculous hands, and you find him, it's just a great marriage in so many ways of the players that they have during this period of time.
No doubt, Tom. And then tough. Those are tough catches right there. The Steph Diggs touchdown catch, that's a tough catch. That Kayshon Boutte touchdown, look at this Steph Diggs. I mean, he almost got his head knocked off. He didn't to catch the ball, and you saw him in slow-mo. The ball, as it's going down, he pulls the ball up so it doesn't touch the ground, so that he does. Yep. So he doesn't, get called for an incomplete pass. So just smart stuff. I mean, watch it. Here's a defender coming to hit him, and he pulls the ball right there. He pulls it up.
That's a hell of a
play.
play.
It doesn't hit the ground, which is that's athleticism and skill that you don't see every day. And in the Kayshon Boutte touchdown, that's his best throw. That's Drake Maye's best throw. That 9-route up the sideline. You saw in the Miami game in week 2, it was Kayshon Boutte, the same thing up the left side. So any of those 9 routes up the sideline, those are those best plays. And then that Pop Douglas touchdown. I mean, I think it was 3rd and 4. It was a 3rd and 4 slant route. beat man-to-man. The guy went for it. I think they did a zero blitz.
Fourth and one.
Fourth down.
Fourth and one, right up the middle.
Sorry, 4th and 1, even better. So, I mean, a high-pressure point right there in the game on a zero blitz. They blitzed right there. That guy, you got to make that. You cannot, if you're going to go for that block or that interception, you make sure you make the tackle. He didn't. And Pop Douglas, who had a big game against the Texans last year, had a big play here. So, look, there wasn't the weather conditions. You weren't going to have a lot of great plays, but the Patriots on offense made the right plays at the right time to put the Texans, nail in their coffin for the season.
And Michael, that Pop Douglas touchdown to me sort of indicative of why this game was a program building kind of win. Obviously, you get to go to the AFC Championship game. But when you look at Douglas, who really has not been a part of this offense for like weeks at a time, to come through in that situation on 4th down, all of the quote-unquote role players who made contributions today. You got a sack from Kairos Tonga. You got plays from Craig Woodson. It felt like all game. Marcus Jones comes up with another huge game for him. It's not necessarily just the stars. Christian Gonzalez played great, forced a fumble. Drake Maye threw some great touchdown passes. Stephon Diggs made a great play himself. But you got so much from so many other people. That's got to be the kind of win that Mike Vrabel really loves.
And you talk about the collaboration from the players on the field. Our guy Tommy Curran has been all over this all season long, talking about week to week. You've said they've got a massive advantage at the offensive coordinator spot with Josh McDaniels. And David Andrews told us in pregame, he said, hey, look, I can watch the Patriots at times. Sometimes I say, I know what play that is. I'm all over that. And then other times I watch and say, I don't know what the hell it is. So it's a credit to Josh. It's his offense foundationally, but taking in Thomas Davis, taking in Todd Downing, Ashton. We've got to talk about Ashton because Mike Vrabel always talks about Ashton, the quarterback coach. Tom, what did you see from Josh McDaniels today, and what have you seen all season from McDaniels and his third stint with the Patriots?
You know what's really funny about today is he allowed his players to do kind of the same thing as they had been doing previously. He let Will Campbell try and handle Will Anderson. And Drake Maye was still throwing deep down the field. It wasn't as if they said, oh, my God, what are we going to do against these guys? So it was a little bit of a dice roll. And there were times during which they paid for it. But Josh let Drake Maye play like Drake Maye. And he didn't call too many runs. I don't know if he had in the back of his mind Bo Nix last night and we're not going to get our guy hurt. But they kind of played like they did. They did not alter it too much for the Houston defense. One more thing on the full circle
Sure,
stuff.
of course.
Ramondre Stevenson carries 16 times for 70 yards. I mean, between many people saying, I don't ever want to see him again, and me saying, you got to sit him down because if he fumbles, it's on the coaching staff, not him. And they never really sat him down. It's just a really cool story that's going to be lost in the subplot.
It's a great addition, and I want to correct the record. Thomas Davis was a great linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. It is Thomas Brown for the Patriots contributing to that collaborative approach. And Phil, I just want to know what you see there from the Patriots offense, because now every week we're not surprised. Okay, they got 27. They didn't score. They scored once on defense, but they got 20. Okay, 20 points offensively against the Houston Texans. We saw what they did last week. This is a defense that gives up 17 points per game. The Patriots score. We're not surprised when we see the Patriots get into the 20s and 30s routinely. What have you seen from this offense?
Yeah, I thought today was interesting because we did see a few things that we haven't seen a lot of. I said before the game, listen, this could be a big screen game. We know Josh McDaniels got 1 million screens in his playbook somewhere. Now would be the time to pull them out. Against an aggressive front, you try to let those guys get way up the field and then hit them on a short throw and hope to create some explosive gains. The screens were ugly today. They tried them. Oh. They certainly tried them. They tried about as many today as they did like the last 7 weeks of football. They didn't work. They tried a lot of draws early in this game, it felt like, to maybe put some doubt into the minds of these pass rushers. Those didn't work either. So I think they were running into some speed bumps that maybe they didn't anticipate. And when you fail with your run game on first and second down, when you fail with that screen game on early downs, now you're in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, and you're playing into their hands. And that's where you do have to drop back, and you have to let routes develop. And that's when pressure gets created, and you see some of these strip sacks and these forced fumbles. The one call that I would truly second guess from Josh McDaniels, and they win the game, doesn't end up being a backbreaker. The one strip sack where it looked like Will Campbell was really on an island. That was one thing I thought, even in 3rd and long situations, he just wouldn't let it happen because he knew that would be a mismatch for his guy on Will Anderson. And so maybe there are a couple more of those that I didn't see in real time. But for the most part, I thought those guys had help, and it was just a question of can Drake Maye decide quickly enough to get rid of the ball.
Yeah, I didn't think it was Josh's best game. The screen game, like those screens are hard to execute, and so if you don't do them a lot, like Phil said, the Patriots haven't been doing many screens really in the second half of the season. Against this defense in those conditions, it's hard to execute, that play because there's a lot of moving parts. I was surprised. I thought they would run the ball more with Drake Maye. I didn't see a lot of quarterback design runs. Maybe they're still kind of keeping it in their back pocket for down the road. I thought you'd see more moving pockets, more, maybe more scrambling. I think only 4 scramble attempts from Drake Maye. And no design runs and really not a lot of boots and moving pockets. So that surprised me. The running game, a little bit disappointing, especially Travion Henderson. I was hoping to, it's been a minute since Travion Henderson has really kind of gone off, and he had his touches. He just had just no success. So the running game the last couple games has been a little bit underwhelming.
Presented by Gem Plumbing and Heating. For an instant reaction to your heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing needs, visit AskGem.com.